She's an ordinary woman living alone in a small studio. One morning, she finds her door lock cover open and quickly changes the password. That night, someone tries to open her door. Terrified, she calls the police, but they don't believe her. Days later, strange things keep happening. Then, a gruesome murder takes place inside her apartment. With no one to trust, she starts investigating on her own. But the deeper she digs, the darker it gets. Who's been entering her home, and why? After a long day at work, Sung-hai returned to her quiet apartment. But something felt off. The lights wouldn't turn on, and the place was eerily silent. Then she heard a soft noise coming from the closet. Nervously, she opened the door but finds nothing. Just then, a shadowy figure attacked her from behind, and everything went dark. In the same old apartment building, Kyung-min lies fast asleep, completely unaware that a man is lying beside her in the same bed. He wakes up before her, calmly moves around her home as if it were his own, eats breakfast, and then quietly leaves. Not long after, Kyung-min wakes up and begins her usual morning routine. She grabs her cereal, and frowns when she notices the milk is running low, considering she hadn't used much. Shrugging it off, she gets ready for work. Her small apartment looks tidy, but she leaves traces of mail supplies, like a pair of shoes by the door and a set of briefs on the rack to trick anyone watching into thinking she doesn't live alone. Before heading out, she notices fingerprints smudged across the keypad on her front door. She wipes them away and punches in her code again just to be sure she locked the door. Kyung-min works as a bank clerk. She does her best, but her coworkers don't make it easy. One in particular keeps swooping in to take her clients, and though it frustrates her, Kyung-min says nothing. After work, she heads home with her best friend, Hyo-ju, who urges her to be more aggressive. Hyo-ju is all fire and fight, telling Kyung-min to start upselling if she wants that full-time position. Later that evening, the security guard hands Kyung-min a box that was delivered earlier. When she gets to her front door, she notices a note taped to it from her mom. She had stopped by but couldn't get in and left ginseng behind. But something feels off. The keypad's cover is open. She calls her mom, gently reminding her to call before coming next time, and asks if she left the cover open. Her mom says no. That night, after crawling into bed, Kyung-min suddenly hears it, a faint beeping, like someone trying to enter a code on her door. Then the sound of the handle shaking aggressively. She slowly gets up, peeks through the peephole, but no one is there. However, a cigarette butt lies on the floor just outside. She calls the police, asking them to check for fingerprints. But they brush her off, saying nothing can be done. It's not serious enough for them to pursue the case. She returns to bed, heart uneasy. Later that night, the man returns. Inside her apartment, he walks through the dark like he knows every corner. He uses her bathroom, then quietly slips into her bed and gently strokes her hair. And once again, Kyung-min sleeps soundly, never knowing she's not alone. Before leaving for work, Kyung-min asks the day guard, Dong-hoon, if she can review the CCTV footage since someone had tried to open her door. He agrees, but as she is running late for work, she decides to check it later. Afterwards, she visits another apartment. It is much smaller than hers yet inexplicably more expensive. During lunch, Hyo-ju suggests that if Kyung-min feels insecure, she should consider upgrading to a fingerprint lock. Kyung-min, troubled by her recurring morning headaches, admits that something might be off with the building. Hyo-ju even teases Kyung-min about getting married to their kind manager, Sung-ho, so that she will have someone to protect her. Back at work, when Kyung-min calls on a customer, the same coworker tries again to snatch the client away. This time, however, she stands her ground. The customer is Ji-jong. Kyung-min tries to keep things light, talking to him casually while suggesting that he take up a savings plan. After handing him her business card, he invites her for coffee, proposing to open the savings account in exchange. When she notices his low bank balance, she gently suggests they can discuss the plan another time. Suddenly, his agitation grows, accusing her of having flirted with him first and claiming she looked down on him for his financial state. As tensions rise, the branch manager Sung-ho intervenes and calls security to escort Ji-jong away. That evening, upon returning to her apartment, Kyung-min finds the night guard being reprimanded by his boss over repeated police-related complaints. Burdened by guilt, she hurries into the elevator, and a man unexpectedly steps inside with her and goes to the same floor. Paranoid, she lets him exit before proceeding into her apartment. That night, the same mysterious man reappears, crawling out from beneath her bed. He covers her nose with a sedative, a disturbing act that explains her groggy mornings. He showers there but meticulously cleans away every hair left in the drain to avoid detection. Finally, he slips into bed and holds her as if it were his customary routine. The next day, Kyung-min's superior calls her into his office. He praises her performance and informs her that the company plans to hire her permanently. Distracted, she barely registers the news. Her inattention even leads her to cut herself, and later she discovered that the money in her cash register does not add up. Later, an unknown number calls her, but she dismisses it. At the bus stop, Ji Jong reappears, urging her to share a taxi. When she refuses, he grabs her. Fortunately, Song-ho arrives just in time to warn him off before he proceeds to send Kyung-min home. On the way home, he advises her to call if she ever needs help. When Kyung-min finally arrives home, she finds the lights broken and hears a knock at her door, causing her to be afraid. It turns out to be Song-ho, returning the wallet she'd left in her car. Noticing the darkness inside, he offers to fix the lights. With the apartment illuminated once again, Kyung-min invites him in for coffee, and he asks if he might use her bathroom. As she tidies up the room, she is struck by an odd detail: the toilet seat cover is up. Later, she grows unsettled by the fact that Song-ho knows exactly which unit she occupies. Before he can explain, she rushes out under the pretext of buying coffee. But instead, she calls the police. When the detectives arrive and unlock her door, they discover Song-ho lying dead at the doorstep. Kyung-min heads to the police station, her mind still reeling. Detective Lee questions her and reveals that there were clear signs of a struggle before Song-ho's death, evidence that strongly suggests someone else was inside her apartment that night. He then mentions that Song-ho knew her unit number because the security guard gave it to him after realizing he had her wallet. But things take a sharp turn. The police begin to doubt her. They notice the mail items in her apartment and start to believe she might be working with the killer. Shocked and overwhelmed, Kyung-min finds herself painted as a suspect right after surviving a horrifying night. However, another officer tells Detective Lee that Kyung-min had made multiple reports in the past about someone trying to break into her home. With no solid evidence against her, the police finally let her go. Back at work, the atmosphere is grim. With their manager now dead, morale is low. When Kyung-min arrives, her superior pulls her aside and informs her that the company has decided to cancel her promotion to full-time staff. Just like that, she is now unemployed. Everyone gossips about her, except Hyo-ju. The others believe Kyung-min is somehow responsible for Song-ho's death. Back at her building, she finally checks the hallway CCTV, only to learn the cameras are fake, mere decoys. Only the elevator camera actually works. She tells Dong-hoon that someone tried to break into her home again. He brushes it off, saying drunk neighbors often knock on the wrong doors. He even checks her apartment for her, but finds nothing. Still, something feels wrong. The coffee beans she hadn't touched are now spilled across the floor. As she cleans, she calls the realtor and insists she wants to move to the new unit as soon as possible. But while sweeping the beans, she finds something strange, a key from another apartment. Driven by instinct, she starts testing the key around the building, trying it on different doors. Finally, it clicks into one unit. The apartment is silent. Empty. It looks like no one has lived there for a while. She checks the mail and discovers that the unit belongs to Sung-hai, the same woman we saw at the beginning of the story. Kyung-min asks Hyo-ju to check Sung-hai's card transactions. They find something odd: every night at 8 p.m., Sung-hai makes a 3,201 purchase at a nearby convenience store. Except on Saturdays, when she goes at 1 p.m. instead. They try to contact her, but there's no response. Since it's Saturday, they head to the convenience store, hoping for a chance encounter. Inside, they look for items priced exactly 3,201 and find that an instant porridge cup matches the amount. Still, the discovery doesn't bring them closer to any answers. They decide to buy some ramen while they wait. Then, suddenly, Hyo-ju gets a reply from Sung-hai's phone, and just as she does, a woman walks in and buys the same 3,201 porridge. Convinced it's her, they follow. At a forked alleyway, Hyo-ju suggests they split up to cover both paths. Hyo-ju catches up with the woman, only to find it's not Sung-hai. Meanwhile, Kyung-min follows a trail and finds a cat licking the same porridge cup from the convenience store. Curious, she walks deeper into the building. There, she sees a familiar keypad, just like her own. She tries a few random codes but the door won't budge. Then, on a hunch, she punches in her own code, 1-7-8-4. The door clicks open. Kyung-min steps into the house. What she finds inside chills her to the bone. A young woman, Sung-hai, is tied to the bed, barely conscious, with an IV drip stuck in her arm. Kyung-min quickly pulls out her phone to call the police, but before she can say a word, the door creaks open. The man returns. She has no choice. She crawls under the bed, holding her breath. The man is calm, almost too calm. He's holding Sung-hai's phone and tells her that many people are searching for her today, including Hyo-ju. Then he lifts a strange vial and prepares to inject something into her fore. He tells her that he's already found Sung Hai's replacement, a woman who lives on the floor below. Kyung Min's eyes widen in horror. He's talking about her. When the man leaves the room for a moment, Kyung Min slowly crawls out. But just then, he returns again. She hides behind the door, trembling. From there, she witnesses something truly sickening. The man pulls back the blanket. Sung Hai's legs are gone, brutally sawed off. Now, he's preparing to do the same to her arms. Kyung Min knows she has to escape. As she edges toward the door, her phone rings. Kyung Min sprints out of the house and the man follows. She calls for help, but no one comes. She ducks into an old, abandoned store, thinking she's safe. But he finds her. Just as he steps forward, Hyo-ju tackles him. The two struggle and he is about to attack her until police sirens cut through the air. The man flees. Kyung Min and Hyo-ju tell everything to Detective Lee. But when he checks the house, it's completely empty and he grows skeptical. He tells Kyung Min he can't help unless she remembers something useful. Then a memory flashes. She remembers the man wore an old-fashioned watch. At that same moment, an officer rushes in with new evidence. They found Sung Hai's body in the trash. Alongside it, Kyung Min's business card. This leads them to Ji Jong. He becomes their top suspect after being seen on CCTV at Kyung Min's apartment building the night Song Ho died. During the interrogation, when Ji Jong is shown a photo of the severed arm, he knows that the killer used a saw. His reaction only raises more suspicion. Detective Lee pushes him hard, asking for a confession. Ji Jong snaps in frustration and the police detain him. Meanwhile, Kyung Min is a wreck. She blames herself for everything. But Hyo-ju holds her and assures her it's not her fault. Detective Lee later apologizes to Kyung Min. He says they're almost certain Ji Jong is the killer, just waiting on the fingerprint results. Trying to move on, Kyung Min relocates to a new apartment, taking no chances. She reinforces all her doors and windows. That evening, Hyo-ju calls, saying she plans to visit. But another shock is coming. Ji Jong is released. The fingerprints weren't a match. He goes back to Kyung Min's old apartment and asks for Kyung Min's new address by pretending to be her cousin. He lies, says her father is in critical condition. Later that day, Kyung Min receives a package. Inside is the phone she lost during the escape and it is filled with photos of her sleeping. Then a call comes in. It's Hyo-ju. But instead of hearing her voice, a video plays. It shows the killer, inside Hyo-ju's home. Kyung Min rushes to her friend's apartment. She panics when she sees the killer preparing to saw Hyo-ju's foot. She grabs a fire extinguisher to break down the door but Ji Jong appears and drags Kyung Min away, saying they should go have coffee. Thankfully, a neighbor hears the struggle and calls the police. They arrive in time and tackle Ji Jong to the floor. Kyung Min runs into the apartment, but finds a bloody Hyo-ju and breaks down. Kyung Min talks with Detective Lee. He explains that the video was recorded beforehand, which explains why Ji Jong did not come from inside the house. They have apprehended Ji Jong and now, they just have to wait for the DNA test results from the weapons found at the crime scene. Kyung Min visits Hyo-ju in the hospital. The surgery went well, Hyo-ju didn't lose her foot. But Kyung Min feels heavy with guilt. Hyo-ju gently tells her not to blame herself. She says that she is safe now because of Kyung Min's bravery. But on the other side, a mysterious figure picks the lock to her door. After making a copy of her keys, the person carefully puts them back where they found them. Later, at home, Kyung Min sets up the small penguin camera Detective Lee gave her. She hopes it will help her feel safer. Then she goes to a convenience store nearby. There, she bumps into Dong-hoon, the man who used to work at her old apartment building. She doesn't recognize him at first. He starts making small talk, acting friendly. But something feels off when he talks about the stalker being caught, saying no one will hurt her anymore. Kyung Min's heart skips a beat when she sees him buy the same packaged porridge and wearing an old watch. Feeling uneasy, she rushes home. Just as she arrives, her phone rings. It's Detective Lee again, warning her not to leave the house. He tells her that Ji Jong DNA was not a match. Worse, Ji Jong has been murdered. Everything was a trap set by the real killer. Kyung Min sits on her bed, stunned and scared. Then her eyes land on the cup of porridge sitting on the table. She quickly turns on her security camera and watches in horror. There's Dong-hoon. He slipped into her apartment just seconds before she came in. And now, he's hiding under her bed. She gasps and prepares to run. But before she can open the door, he knocks her out. When she wakes up, Dong-hoon is holding her close, his embrace familiar but wrong. He tells her they can stay there together. No one will bother them. He's brought her everything she needs, even changed her into pajamas. Then announces that he sedated her again, making her weak and unable to fight back. Meanwhile, Detective Lee rushes to find Kyung-min's CCTV footage shows Dong-hoon taking her away. A coworker calls Detective Lee with new information. Dong-hoon quit his job and vanished the day after Ji-jong was killed. They also learn that he used to work at a hotel by a lake. But the hotel closed after a guest was found dead. Dong-hoon moved to Seoul soon after and started working at Kyung-min's old apartment building. Back at the old hotel, Dong-hoon is furious. Kyung-min didn't recognize him. He thinks she looks down on him because he's just a guard. He threatens her, if she tries to leave, he will cut off her feet and arms. Kyung-min is terrified. But when Dong-hoon gets close, she bites his ear and injects sedative into him. Still dizzy, she fights to run down the stairs. But every door is locked. She finds one room open but the windows are blocked. Suddenly, she hears footsteps outside. She grabs a sharp glass shard and hides behind the bed. Then Detective Lee calls out her name. Kyung-min answers, relieved. But Dong-hoon attacks Detective Lee from behind. The two men fight fiercely. Kyung-min rushes out, grabs an axe lying on the floor. She sees Dong-hoon stabbing Detective Lee in the neck. He tells her to give up. Thinking fast, Kyung-min pulls a carpet from under Dong-hoon's feet. He falls. She grabs Detective Lee's gun and fires, but no bullets are left. Dong-hoon is furious. He picks up the axe intending to chop off Kyung-min's arm. But she fights back. She presses into his wounds and tries to run. Dong-hoon's anger grows. He throws her against a wardrobe and the wardrobe falls on both of them. Kyung-min struggles to escape, but Dong-hoon pulls her back, refusing to let go. She keeps kicking and pushing, searching for a way out. As she breaks free, Dong-hoon chokes her from behind, trying to kill her. She pushes him away and his head hits a sharp nail on the wardrobe. He collapses, dead. Her nightmare is finally over. In the aftermath, Kyung-min is not charged as it was self-defense. She returns to her life in the new apartment. But the trauma stays. Now, checking under her bed is part of her daily routine, just to feel safe.